Ever wonder which are some of the most expensive private islands owned by billionaires and where the ultra wealthy go when 5-star resort sounds too communal? Welcome to the world where your neighbor isn't just keeping up with the Jonases, they are the Jonases and they own the entire zip code. I'm talking private islands, people where the yacht parking is better than your city's downtown and the local wildlife includes celebrities in their natural habitat, sipping champagne worth more than your car. First, Larry Ellison's Lanai Island, $600 million. The Oracle founder doesn't just own software, he owns 98% of Hawaii's 6th largest island. For a staggering $600 million, Ellison didn't just buy land, he purchased the homes, hotels, basically become landlord to the entire population of around 3,000 people. Imagine owning so much money, you're like, you know what, I will take all of it. What does one do with an entire Hawaiian island? Well, if you have Ellison, you transform it into a laboratory for sustainability with organic farms, electric vehicles and solar power. It's like playing SimCity, except it's real and costs hundreds of millions of dollars. The island spans 90,000 acres, which is roughly 90,000 times the size of the apartment you are probably watching this video from. Ellison also renovated the island's 2 Four Seasons resorts because when you own the island, having just one luxury hotel would be embarrassingly restrained. And yes, he has his own private airport on the island too. Because commercial flights are for, well, everybody else. Speaking of creating your own reality, wait until you hear about the Russian's billionaire's frozen paradise, because sometimes an island in tropical waters is just too predictable for the truly wealthy. Second, Roman Abramovich's new Holland Island, $400 million. The Russian oligarch dropped $400 million on historic island in St. Petersburg, not to live on it, but to transform it into a cultural center. Because when you are that rich, your hobby projects have their own zip codes. New Holland Island was originally built in the 18th century by Peter the Great as a naval yard. Abramovich purchased this triangular island in 2010 and spent nearly a decade renovating it. The 19-acre island now houses art galleries, performance spaces, restaurants and boutiques. It's basically a billionaire's version of community service. I'll restore this historic site, but make sure it has excellent sushi and designer shops. The renovation preserved the historic red brick warehouses while adding ultra-modern amenities. It's like buying a classic car and installing a sound system worth more than the vehicle itself. The island now attracts over 1.9 million visitors annually, none of whom can afford to do what Abramovich did, buy the entire place on a whim. But if you want a tropical paradise that makes your Instagram followers weep with envy, our next island owner has been perfecting that game for decades. Third, Richard Branson Necker Island, $220,000. Branson didn't just buy an island, he bought himself a Caribbean kingdom where celebrities pay $42,000 per night to vacation. Yes, that's more than your college education for a weekend getaway. This 74-acre paradise in the British Virgin Island is essentially Branson's personal playground, complete with Balenciaga-style villas, infinity pools and tennis courts that probably have better views than your wedding photos. The island survived multiple hurricanes, which makes sense because even Mother Nature knows better than to mess with a billionaire's investment. After Hurricane Irma in 2017, Branson didn't evacuate, he just hunkered down in his own wine cellar. When your disaster bunker is stocked with vintages worth more than most emergency funds, you're playing a different game entirely. Oh, and did I mention the island is home to lemurs, flamingos and giant tortoises? Because apparently when you are the billionaire, having a private zoo on your private island is just standard amenities. The rest of us get excited about hotels with free breakfast. If you think Branson Island is impressive, wait until you hear about the Greek paradise that changed hands between shipping tycoons and Russian heiresses like it's a luxury version of Monopoly. Fourth, Ekaterina's Rybolovleva Skorpios Island, $200 million. When your dad is a Russian fertilizer billionaire, apparently he buys your island instead of cars for your birthday. Ekaterina Rybolovleva received Skorpio Island as a gift from her father, who purchased it for $200 million. Previously owned by Aristotle Onassis, yes, Jackie Kennedy's Onassis husband. This is an island with serious pedigree. Located in the Ionian Sea of Greece, this 74-acre paradise comes with a complicated past and a strict purchase agreement that supposedly prevents the new owners from making major changes. But when you have billions, contractual suggestions are more like decorating tips than actual rules. The island famously hosted Onassis' wedding to Jackie Kennedy's and was shipping the magnate's final resting place. Now it's the playground for Russian heiresses who probably has more swimsuit than most of us have socks. The island features multiple residences, beaches and imported sand because natural sand is so pedestrian, and a harbour large enough for super yachts because nothing says welcome to my humble abode like arriving on a vessel larger than most apartment buildings. Fifth, David Copperfield's Musha Islands, $150 million. The magician's greatest trick wasn't making the Statue of Liberty disappear, it was making $150 million appear from his bank account to buy a chain of 11 islands in the Bahamas. Collectively known as the island of Copperfield Bay, this 700-acre paradise takes exclusivity to new heights. At $57,000 per night with a 4-night minimum, he is not just performing illusions, he is making your saving account vanish just by thinking about visiting. The main island Musha features 5 guest houses, each with its private beaches. That's right, not just a private island but private beaches on that private island. It's like Russian nestling dolls of exclusivity. Copperfield has hosted celebrities like Oprah and Google co-founder Sergey Brin, who actually got married there. Nothing says I do like spending more on the value that most people spend on their house. The island also has something called Secret Village, accessible only by crossing a hidden underground pathway that emerges on the other side of the island. Because when you are the world famous magician, even your real estate needs to have trapdoors and secret passages. If Magic Island aren't your style, perhaps you prefer something with a tech mogul's touch, because this next island proves that cell phone fortunes can buy a cellular isolation. 6th, Craig McCaw's James Island, $90 million. Cellular network pioneer Craig McCaw dropped a cool $90 million on his private Canadian paradise, located near Vancouver Island. James Island spans 780 acres and features an 18-hole Jack Nicklaus designed golf course, because when regular country clubs are too crowded with other millionaires, the only solution is to build your own private course where you never have to worry about tea times. The island also boasts a private airstrip, a marina, and a small village of house for staff and guests. Mago, who made his fortune by building and selling a cellular network to AT&T for $11.5 billion, apparently wanted an island where he would never have to worry about spotty cellular reception. The island even has its own history. It was previously used as a dynamite manufacturing plant during World War II. Now it's just an exclusive in price tag alone. From manufacturing explosives to manufacturing envy among the 99%, that's what I call a successful property renovation. Our next island proves that even Hollywood comedians take their real estate very seriously, and there's nothing funny about these properties' values. 7. Eddie Murphy's Rooster Long K, $50 million. The comedy legend spent $50 million on his slice of paradise in the Bahamas. Rooster K, also known as Long K, spans 15 acres and sits just 5 minutes by boat from Nassau. It's close enough to civilization for convenience but far enough to avoid fans asking for donkey impressions from Shaq. Murphy's Island, featuring pristine beaches, tropical landscaping, and the kind of privacy that $50 million buys you. While rest of us might splurge on premium streaming services, Murphy splurged on an entire ecosystem. When you are successful enough to buy island as vacation homes, you have definitely made it. From Beverly Hills Cop to Beverly Hills bank account, that's the Eddie Murphy store we didn't see coming. From comedy legend to action heroes, our next island owner took his braveheart character's love of land to a whole new level and hemispheric extreme. 8th, Mel Gibson Mago Island, $50 million. When you have played Mad Max, apparently you need maximum isolation. Gibson dropped $50 million on Mago Island, one of the largest private islands in the South Pacific. At 5,400 acres, it's less of an island and more of a small nation. It's actually about 1.5 times the size of the entire country of Monaco. Located on Fiji, the island features volcanic hills, white sand beaches, and extensive coral reefs. Gibson has reportedly kept the island largely undeveloped, preserving its natural state. It's like owning your own Jurassic Park, minus the dinosaur, we hope. The island is so large, it even has several villages whose residents were reportedly allowed to stay after the purchase. Gibson once claimed he bought the island for conservation purposes, which is billionaire for I want somewhere to escape with my public images need recovery time. When the paparazzi get too intense, nothing says privacy like owning 8.5 square miles of tropical paradise surrounded by ocean. 9th, Louis More Bacon's Robbins Island, $11 million. This hedge fund manager paid $11 million for his own private hunting grounds off Long Island. The wildlife conservation enthusiast uses his 435-acre island as a personal nature reserve. Nothing says I love animals like owning this entire habitat. Bacon purchased Robbins Island in 1993, saving it from potential development. To his credit, he restored the island's natural ecosystem, reintroducing native plants and creating habitats for endangered species. It's conservation with a billionaire twist. Instead of donating to the Nature Conservancy, just buy the entire ecosystem. The island sits in the Great Peconic Bay and is visible from the Hamptons, which means Bacon can literally look down on other millionaires from his own even more exclusive property. The island has remained largely undeveloped save for single residence and some hunting cabins, because sometimes true luxury is having the ability to build whatever you want and choosing not to. That's the wealth flexing on a philosophical level. And finally, from the hedge fund to space rocket, our last island proves that even when you are launching into cosmos, you still need a place on Earth to call home. 10th, Eric Anderson's Allan Island, $13.5 million. Space tourism entrepreneur Eric Anderson snagged this island for $13.5 million after it was originally owned by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen, hence the name. When your friend has windows, but you have an actual window to your own private wilderness, that's when you know you have won at capitalism. Located in Washington State's San Juan Island, 292-acre Allan Island is surprisingly undeveloped for a tech entrepreneur's retreat. The island has only one log cabin, a caretaker's cottage, and a small airstrip. Anderson, who co-founded Space Adventures and Planetary Resources, apparently likes his Earth-based properties as isolated as the cosmos he's trying to commercialize. What's particularly ironic is that a man who sells tickets to space bought an island that's equally inaccessible to average people. It's like saying I can get you to the International Space Station, but good luck visiting my weekend home. The island offers stunning views of the Olympic Mountains and Puget Sound views that only Anderson and his guests get to enjoy. The ultimate social distancing before it was trending. Okay, my final thoughts. So there you have it, 10 slices of paradise that you can only afford if your bank account has more cosmos than the scripts and has sarcastic remarks. While the rest of us are debating between the standard or premium streaming subscriptions, these folks are deciding which of their islands to visit this weekend. If this video made you feel both amazed and slightly depressed about your financial status, congratulations, you're normal. Hit that subscribe button if you want more glimpses into lives you'll never live, and drop a comment telling me which billionaire's island you would visit if you suddenly won the lottery, and maybe tell me what you would name your island if you had one. And if this video gets 50,000 likes, I'll do a follow-up billionaire super yacht that costs more than a GDP of small countries. Remember, dreams are free islands. Unfortunately, are not.